This tool called App Permissions is an interesting tool. It is a free tool provided to us by F-Secure, and all this tool does is allows us to view all of the apps that we have installed. Now in this case, I have 216 on this fresh setup. I put it back to factory settings, and I've only put just a handful in. I've only downloaded 3 programs, but now I have 216. That's amazing. So notice here that this gives us every one of our applications, and on the right there's a number associated with it. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the Google Play Movies and TV, and then I'm going to click on View Permissions. You see it goes through and it tells us every single one of the permissions that have been granted to this. Receive boot completed. Red sync settings. At the top we can see the network state and Bluetooth get accounts. Now you and I may not know what each of these means, but we can take a look. So we can read the phone settings. It will tell us a little bit here. But primarily this is going to allow us to see whether or not this is a potential security risk. And if we're not using it, we should attempt to disable it or remove it. Now, some of these cannot be removed because they are built in, and some of them can. Now, the other thing that I love is that across the top it has different tabs. I can take a look at which ones are going to or could cost me money. So I can see that. Lookout at the bottom could cost me money if I wanted to pay for the upgraded version. Chat on could cost me money. I'd like to actually remove chat on because I don't need it and it's got stuff that I don't like. So I go to uninstall it, click OK, and it says uninstall unsuccessful. Now that is an example of how some of these are built in. They're integrated with the Android operating system for the Samsung Galaxy Tab 2. So I can't even remove that thing, which really kind of sucks, right? It's a concern, but that's just the way it is. It's tied right into the OS. I can take a look at who can impact data, battery life, and who can see my personal data. Now, do I really need to use this? For example, I got Google Hangouts. Google Hangouts can see my personal information. If I'm not using it, notice here, this is going to allow me to replace the factory version, and that tells me that this is one of those built-in applications like we just talked about. It's one of those I'm not going to be able to remove, so I'm going to hit cancel. Now, that's because of the way Samsung integrated all of the Google components with this. Not all vendors do the same thing. Some vendors will allow you to remove those, others will not, but that is an integral part here, at least for our demo. So what about those that can see my location info? Let's go ahead and move down. How can I change the system? Now look at all of the apps that will allow me to change the system. Let's see what Google Plus can change. Let's view the permissions here. We can look down through here, download without notification. Oh, that's interesting. It can use the camera, get accounts, manage accounts, and modify audio settings. And that's one of the settings that Google can change. Now, when we went back here to Google Plus and it can change the system, it's saying there was one thing that Google Plus could do. So when we go through and look at the permissions, we see right here that it can modify the audio settings. This is the one item that the particular app can change. Now, that's not a big deal to me. Let's take a look at Lookout. What does Lookout allow us to do? Now this app has a ton of permissions, and it can also also modify the audio settings and manage device admins. It can't modify anything there, but it can manage the admins. It can kill background processes, but that's not necessarily changing a system setting, so that's why it was listed here. Okay, even that free tool that we're using, Mobiler, has quite a few. Yeah, and this has write settings. Allows an application to read or write the system settings. And that, frankly, is kind of scary. If this was a device that I was using on a daily basis, I was using it maybe for personal use, I would never allow this tool to be installed. No way, no how. Way too dangerous. And notice how it's highlighted there. It's even telling me this is not a good thing. This is out of the ordinary. It really is. This is just F-Secure app permissions. This is only available through Google Play, so it's an Android-only application. You won't find a tool like this for the Apple iOS.